The arrival of the spaceship Valkyrie moved quietly through deep space. Stars blinked in the dark like tiny eyes watching from far away. Inside the ship, the human crew sat in silence, their eyes fixed on the screens. It had been weeks since they left Earth, and the journey was long and quiet. Until today, a strange signal appeared. "Captain, we're picking up something," said Lena, the communications officer. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking a little. "It's a distress call. Very old. Not human." Captain Darius leaned forward. "Not human? Are you sure?" Lena nodded. "It's using an old alien frequency. We've never heard this pattern before." Dr. Eli, the ship's xenolinguist, stared at the signal on the screen. His eyes went wide. "Wait, I think I've seen this before. This is ancient tech. Thousands of years old." A chill ran through the room. "Where's it coming from?" the captain asked. "A jungle planet. No known colonies. Unmarked on modern maps," Lena replied. The crew was unsure. Landing on unknown planets was always dangerous. But curiosity was stronger than fear. "Prepare for descent," Captain Darius ordered. The ship dropped through the clouds of the green planet. Below, massive trees covered the land like a sea of green waves. Everything looked alive and dangerous. As Valkyrie landed, the ship's scanners showed something strange. A small crashed pod not far from their location. It looked broken, torn open like a can. Scorch marks surrounded it. Something, or someone, had survived. The crew stepped outside, walking carefully through the thick jungle. Alien birds flew above. Strange insects buzzed near their ears. The air was heavy and wet. "Look," said Juno, the engineer. "Tracks." Someone moved from the crash site into the jungle. Dr. Eli bent down. "These aren't human footprints. They're light, small, maybe a child." The tracks led deeper into the trees. Vines curled around their legs. Something growled in the distance. Then they found it. A pool of dried green blood. It glowed faintly. Beside it, a small alien device, a communicator, cracked and buzzing. They were close. "I don't like this," said Juno. "What kind of creature bleeds green and leaves a trail?" Suddenly, the trees shook. Something big was moving. The ground vibrated under their boots. "We need to get back to the ship," Lena whispered. But before they could turn, a scream cut through the air. Not a human scream. Not animal either. It was something else. High-pitched. Full of fear. The crew ran toward the sound, weapons ready. They moved fast, heartbeats racing. The jungle grew darker, thicker. Branches slapped their faces. The scream came again, closer now. Then silence. No birds. No wind. Even the insects had stopped. They stepped into a small clearing. There was no one there. Just rocks, vines, and thick roots. But something felt wrong. "She was here," Dr. Eli said quietly. He looked around, eyes scanning everything. "Someone is watching us." A shadow moved above. Something slid between the trees. Long. Silent. Too fast to see clearly. Then, crack. A tree branch broke nearby. The crew jumped, aiming their flashlights. Nothing. But in the corner of his eye, Captain Darius saw something. Eyes. Bright yellow eyes, watching from the dark. They were not alone. Suddenly, a voice came from behind a rock. "Please, help." They turned and saw her. A small alien girl, no older than 16 in human years. Her skin was light blue. Glowing marks ran down her arms. Her clothes were torn. Her leg was bleeding. She was scared, but her eyes were sharp, alert. "You're human?" she asked, speaking broken English. "We are," Captain Darius said, stepping forward. "Who are you?" The girl looked around, shaking. "No time, it's coming. We must hide." "What's coming?" Lena asked. The alien girl pointed to the trees. "The snake." Before anyone could ask more, the jungle exploded with movement. Branches snapped. Birds screamed. Something huge crashed through the trees like a storm. "Run!" the girl shouted. They ran. Behind them, a deep hissing sound echoed. The ground shook again. Trees fell. Something massive was chasing them, and it was getting closer. They reached a small cave, just before the giant shape burst into view. A creature like nothing they had ever seen. A massive snake, as thick as a truck and longer than a train. Dark, scales, glowing eyes, and sharp fangs. It reared back and let out a roar. The crew ducked into the cave. The girl collapsed, breathing hard. "What is that thing?" Juno gasped. The girl looked up, fear in her eyes. "It's not from this planet," she said. "It was made to hunt me." The cave shook again as the snake searched outside. The humans looked at each other. They had come to help, but now they were part of something much bigger, something ancient, something deadly. The survivor. The cave was cold and damp, lit only by the weak glow of a cracked device on the alien girl's wrist. Outside, the giant snake slithered past slowly, its heavy body shaking the ground with each movement. The crew stayed silent, holding their breath. Even the sound of a cough could mean death. Captain Darius crouched beside the alien girl. She was breathing hard, one hand pressed against her wounded leg. Glowing green blood trickled between her fingers. "We need answers," Lena whispered, her voice sharp. "Who is she? What was that thing? Why did it chase us?" "Shh," the girl said suddenly, lifting her head. "It hears fear, not just sound, emotion." The crew froze. Outside, the snake paused, its head turned slowly toward the cave. Then it moved on. Only then did anyone breathe. They waited until the forest grew quiet again. Birds began singing. The snake was gone, for now. "You can talk," Captain Darius said. "You speak English?" "Only a little," the girl said. "I learned before everything broke." Dr. Eli leaned closer. "What's your name?" She looked at him for a long time, then said, "They called me Sila, but I don't remember if that's my real name." She tried to stand but fell. Lena reached out to catch her, but Sila pulled away. "Don't touch me," she said, not angry, just scared. "My blood is not safe." Dr. Eli's eyes narrowed. "Toxic," she nodded. "To some, not to you, yet." The crew looked at each other, confused. "Okay," Darius said carefully. "What's going on here, Sila? Where are you from? What is that thing hunting you?" Sila looked out into the trees, her voice low and slow. "I'm from a world that doesn't exist anymore. It was peaceful, full of light, rivers that floated, mountains that sang. But one day, ships came. Black ships. Full of creators." "Creators?" Juno asked. "You mean gods?" "No," Sila said, her eyes cold now. "Scientists. Builders. Destroyers. They said they wanted to help. They lied." She touched the glowing device on her wrist. "They used our DNA to create beasts. Snakes, spiders, machines. They made them to test us, to see what we would do, but they were never going to stop." Her hands clenched. "They burned my world." The cave grew colder. "I was just a child," Sila continued, "but I had something inside me, something they couldn't control. They called it the shard, a weapon born in blood. They tried to cut it out." Her voice cracked. "But I escaped. They chased me across space. And now, they found me again." "That thing," Eli said. "The snake. They made it?" Sila nodded. "Yes. It's not a creature. It's a machine. Alive but programmed to track me. To kill me." "Why?" Lena asked. "What do they want?" Sila looked at her with eyes full of something ancient. "Because I'm the last." Outside the cave, a shadow passed again. This time smaller, not the snake, something else. "They sent others," Sila whispered. "They never send just one." Captain Darius moved to the entrance and peeked outside with his scope. Shapes moved in the trees. Tall, silent, humanoid, but wrong. They didn't walk. They floated. Drones, he muttered. Scouts. Juno read his scanner. No signal. Their stealth units advanced. Suddenly a click echoed from the trees. "Get down!" Darius shouted. A burst of light flashed across the cave. A plasma round exploded against the stone wall, sending rocks flying. The cave entrance caved in slightly. Darius turned. Scylla had stood up, weak but burning with light. Her arm glowed from the inside, blue veins turning bright white. "What's happening to you?" Lena asked. Scylla closed her eyes. "The shard, it's waking up." Before they could speak, something crashed through the back wall. Not the snake, not the drones. A new creature. Smaller, faster. Black armor, sharp limbs, red eyes. It moved like a shadow and struck with speed. But Scylla moved faster, her hand stretched forward, and the beast froze midair, held by invisible force. Her eyes glowed white. Then, snap. The thing twisted in the air, crushed by an unseen power. The crew stared in shock. "You're a weapon," Juno whispered. "Not just hunted, you're dangerous." Scylla didn't answer. Her body shook. The glow faded. She fell to her knees again. "I can't hold it long," she said. "It's too much. Without help, it will kill me too." "Help how?" Darius asked. "I need a core from the snake. It's more than muscle, it's a battery. If I take control of it, I can survive. And maybe win." "Win what?" Eli asked. Scylla looked up. "The war." The crew was silent. Outside, the drones moved closer. They had two choices: leave the girl behind or help her fight. Captain Darius took a deep breath. "Get ready," he said. "We're taking back the jungle." And in the distance, the snake hissed again, crushed by a monster. But she didn't die. The jungle was no longer quiet. It growled. The ground trembled as the massive snake returned. Its black-scaled body slithered between trees like a river of muscle and armor. Its yellow eyes glowed with hunger, and its forked tongue tasted the air. Inside the cave, the crew stared at Scylla. She stood now, taller, steadier. The green blood on her leg had dried. The glowing veins on her arms pulsed like they were alive. "It knows," she whispered. "It knows I'm awake." Outside, the snake reared up, towering over the trees. It let out a deep, terrible hiss that echoed through the jungle. Birds scattered. Animals fled. But the humans stayed frozen. "How do we kill it?" Lena asked, gripping her plasma gun. Scylla didn't answer. She stepped forward. "We don't." Before anyone could stop her, Scylla walked out of the cave. Alone. The snake saw her immediately. It dropped from the trees like a lightning strike, crashing into the ground with the force of a meteor. The shockwave sent leaves flying and knocked Lena backward. "She's crazy," Juno shouted. "We have to help her." "Wait," Darius said, watching carefully. "Look." Scylla didn't run. She walked forward slowly, her hands glowing faintly. The snake hissed and circled her, its massive body coiled around her like a living wall. One wrong move, and she'd be crushed. And then it struck, faster than a blink. The snake's head shot forward, its jaws opened wide, fangs dripping. It grabbed Scylla with its coils and squeezed. Bones cracked. The crew screamed. "She's..." Lena choked, but Scylla's eyes didn't close. They opened wider. The light inside her began to grow. Her skin shimmered. The glowing lines across her arms spread like fire. The snake hissed louder, confused, and then it screamed, not in hunger, in pain. Inside the coils, Scylla was changing. Her body began to glow so bright it lit the entire jungle. Her scream was silent, but powerful. Waves of energy pulsed from her, pushing into the snake's muscles, its nerves, its mind. She wasn't just resisting, she was invading. "She's connecting to it," Eli whispered, stunned. "She's not fighting back. She's taking control." The snake thrashed violently, smashing trees. It slammed its own body against rocks, trying to crush her. The crew watched, helpless. But Sila's voice rang out, calm, cold, and strong. You were made to kill me. Now you will protect me. The light exploded. The snake stopped moving. For a second, the jungle was silent again. Then the coils loosened. And Sila fell to the ground. The crew rushed forward. She lay in the grass, eyes closed, barely breathing. The snake lay still beside her like a mountain of metal and muscle. Its eyes dimmed, no longer glowing. Is she alive? Lena asked. Juno knelt beside Sila and scanned her. Pulse is weak, but steady. What about the snake? Darius asked. Before anyone could answer, the snake's body began to shift. Its scales moved, peeling away and reshaping. Thin cables spread from its neck, connecting to Sila's arm. The armor began to mold around her body like a second skin. Eli stepped back. This isn't just bonding. She's becoming part of it. Sila opened her eyes slowly. Her voice was soft. The shard is no longer sleeping. She stood up, weak at first, but stronger with each step. Pieces of the snake's armor had wrapped around her chest and arms. A blade formed near her right wrist, glowing with alien symbols. They gave me this monster to destroy me, she said. Now, it's mine. But there was no time to celebrate. Above the treetops, ships began to appear, black and silent. They hovered like vultures, dropping pods into the jungle. Dozens of enemy drones spread out, scanning. Sila turned to the crew. They know I took the weapon. Now they're coming in full force. Can we stop them? Darius asked. Sila's answer was not a word, but a look. Something fierce, something final. Not just stop them, she said. We hunt them now. Just then the jungle shook again, but, this time, not from the snake. One of the black pods hit the ground nearby and opened. A new creature stepped out. Not a drone. Not a beast. A tall, armored figure with silver skin and glowing red eyes. Sila went completely still. He's here, she whispered. Who? Lena asked. Sila's voice dropped low. The one who made me. The air grew heavy. The sky darkened. Sila turned to the crew, her face calm but her eyes burning. You need to decide, she said. Stand with me. Or run. Darius raised his weapon. We're not running. And so it began. A war that started long before any of them were born. Now reawakened in the jungle of an uncharted world. The girl who should have died was still alive. And now, she had a weapon no one could control. How she turned a monster into a weapon. The jungle burned in the distance. Fire lit up the sky in red and orange. Smoke curled through the trees like black fingers. The enemy had landed. And they were not waiting. Inside a clearing, Sila stood still, her eyes closed. Parts of the snake's body now moved like armor across her skin. Shoulders, arms, chest, legs. It wasn't just worn like clothes. It was alive, connected to her veins, her heartbeat. The crew stood around her, watching in silence. They had seen many things in space, but this was something different. What's happening to her? Lena asked. She's sinking, Eli said. Her mind, with the beast. That thing nearly killed her, Juno muttered. Now she's wearing it. Captain Darius didn't speak. He was watching Sila closely. Her skin pulsed with light. Her fingers moved like she was typing in the air, but there was no keyboard. Just patterns of glowing energy forming around her. Suddenly her eyes snapped open. It's done, she said. Her voice was different now, stronger, deeper, controlled. She lifted her hand, and the rest of the snake's body behind her began to rise, not like a beast, not wild, like a machine following a master's command. The massive serpent uncoiled itself, its head lifting into the air like a warship ready for battle. Its eyes, once yellow with rage, now glowed blue, calm and focused. How? Lena breathed. Sila looked at her. They designed it to follow command signals from their tech, she said. I've overwritten the code using my shard. Now, it listens to me. What can it do? Darius asked. Scylla smiled. Let me show you. She raised her hand and pointed toward the jungle. From the trees, a group of enemy drones moved silently, searching. In one breath, the snake launched forward. Boom! It moved like lightning, silent, deadly. Its body smashed through the trees, tail whipping like a steel blade. Within seconds, the drones were gone, crushed, shattered, scattered. It returned to Scylla and coiled around her protectively. It's not just a beast anymore, Scylla said. It's a weapon system. It can attack, defend, scan, and adapt. Like an army? Juno asked. Scylla shook her head. No, she said, like a living war machine. But suddenly her body shook. She grabbed her head and fell to one knee. Scylla! Lena rushed to her side. Scylla's eyes were flickering between blue and red. The connection, it's not stable. The shard is powerful, but it's not complete. What does that mean? Darius asked. Scylla looked up. Her voice was tired. If I push too far, I lose myself. The snake doesn't just follow me. It pulls me inside it. It wants to fight. It doesn't care who dies. The jungle rumbled again, but this time it wasn't drones. A shadow appeared above the trees. A massive figure, 10 feet tall, walked into the clearing. Silver armor, red lights, a face like polished stone. The crew aimed their weapons. Scylla stood, blood running from her nose. Her voice dropped. Don't shoot. Not yet. Who is that? Darius asked. Scylla's eyes narrowed. The first one. The figure stopped a few meters away. It looked at Scylla, not with fear, not with hate, with interest, like a scientist looking at an experiment. You have grown, it said, its voice cold and smooth. But you still don't understand your purpose. Scylla clenched her fists. The armor on her arms began to glow again. You made me to obey, but I'm not yours anymore. Wrong. The figure said. You're still part of the system, and every system obeys its code. He raised his hand. Suddenly, Scylla screamed. Her body twisted. Her eyes flashed red. The snake behind her thrashed wildly, slamming into trees without control. What's happening? Lena shouted. He's hacking her, Eli cried. He has the original signal. Scylla dropped to the ground, shaking. Her voice came in gasps. I can't stop it. But then, something changed. The crew saw it first in her eyes. Defiance. She gritted her teeth. Her fingers dug into the dirt and she whispered something no one expected. Override. The armor lit up with fire. The snake roared, not in pain but in freedom. Scylla stood. Her whole body shone like a burning star. The connection was no longer pulling her in. She was pulling it. The armored figure stepped back. Impossible. It whispered. Scylla walked forward slowly, the snake following behind her like a dragon behind its queen. You thought you made a weapon, she said, but you made a mirror. Everything you built to control me I turned into my power. She pointed at him. And now, I'm coming for you. The figure turned and vanished in a blink of light. Gone, but not for long. The jungle was quiet again. Scylla looked at the crew. This is not over. He'll bring more. Stronger ones. What do we do? Darius asked. Scylla's answer was simple. We train the monster. We build it into something they can't break. She turned to the snake. You followed their code for years. Now, you follow mine. And deep inside the armor, the beast obeyed. Not like a pet. Not like a slave. Like a weapon that had finally found its master. The alien creators who wanted her dead, the jungle no longer felt alive. It felt watched. Birds had flown away, animals had vanished. Only silence remained. Heavy, sharp, unnatural. As Scylla stood at the edge of a burned clearing, her eyes fixed, On the sky, the crew noticed something different in her. Not fear. Memory. "They're coming back," she said, her voice low. "Who?" Captain Darius asked. Scylla didn't answer right away. Instead, she touched the side of her neck. And suddenly, a projection burst into the air. It showed a planet. Not Earth. Not this jungle world. It was green, full of light, floating rivers, and glowing cities in the sky. "This was my home," she said softly. The projection shifted. Dark clouds appeared. Black ships entered the atmosphere like knives slicing the sky. Explosions followed. Cities burned. Towers fell. Then, cages. Experiments. Screams. "They were called the engineers," Scylla said. "They came to study us. Learn from us. But they lied. They didn't want knowledge. They wanted to build something. Stronger." "Stronger than what?" Eli asked. "Stronger than life," Scylla replied. "They called it Project Echo, a test to create the perfect fusion between emotion and machine, a mind that could feel but still follow orders." She turned to the crew. "They used me as the prototype." The crew looked at her in silence. Even the snake behind her seemed still, waiting. Scylla pointed to the glowing marks on her skin. "This isn't just decoration. These are control codes burned into my body. Each one is a command, a limit, a lock. They thought if they could chain my soul, they could own my power." She smiled, but it was cold. They were wrong. But then, her smile faded. "I wasn't the only one," she said. "There were others, children, some older, some younger, all taken, all tested. Some died fast, some begged to die." "What happened to them?" Juno asked. Scylla's voice cracked. "They failed. I didn't." The projection changed again. Now it showed something horrible. Giant glass tanks, children floating inside, their eyes open but empty, wires running through their skin, machines feeding them commands, pain, fear, images. They learned something from each of us. Some gave them speed, some gave them strength, some gave them silence. But only I gave them choice. "Choice?" Darius asked. I refused their commands, she said. "The shard inside me, this strange light they could never explain, it fought back, it burned their code, corrupted it. So they tried to kill me." Her voice dropped low. "But killing me wasn't enough. They wanted to erase me, not just my body, but my existence. So they created hunters, machines like the snake, and worse. They sent them across space. Wherever my signature appears, they follow." "Why now?" Lena asked. "Why here?" Scylla looked at the sky, eyes narrow. "Because I activated the shard completely. I bonded with the weapon. I became a signal they couldn't ignore." Suddenly, alarms on the Valkyrie buzzed. "Multiple ships entering orbit," Eli called out. "Big ones." A hologram of the sky appeared. 10. No, 15 ships, shaped like black spines, long, sharp, full of weapons. Not just scouts, a fleet. The crew stared in horror. "What do they want?" Juno asked. Scylla turned to him slowly. "To bring me home." Darius stepped forward. "We won't let them take you." But Scylla shook her head. "You don't understand. They don't want me to return. They want to reboot me, to wipe my memories, my thoughts, make me into a tool again." Her hands trembled. "And if they can't, they'll destroy this planet, burn everything, just to kill me." "We fight," Darius said. Scylla looked down. "It's not that simple. They've sent him." "Who?" Lena asked. Scylla didn't speak for a long time. Then she whispered, "The architect." Even the snake beside her recoiled slightly. "He was the lead mind of the project," Scylla explained. "Cold. Brilliant. Not fully alive, not fully machine. He built the shard. He wrote the kill code. He knows me better than I know myself." "Can you stop him?" Darius asked. Scylla looked into the forest. "Only if I go into the core, the real one." "What core?" Sila's voice was distant. "The place where I was made." Suddenly the snake began to move. It turned and slithered toward the dark side of the jungle. "Where's it going?" Juno asked. Sila turned to the crew. "It remembers the way. There's a lab buried deep underground, where they built the first weapons. If we go there, we might find something to finish this. Or something worse," Lena muttered. Sila didn't argue. "Yes," she said, "but if we stay here we die anyway." Darius nodded. "Then we move. Together." As they began to follow the snake into the unknown forest, Sila whispered something only the jungle heard. "You tried to break me, but you taught me how to fight." Human and alien, together against monsters, the jungle was no longer just a jungle. It had become a warpath. Every tree they passed seemed to whisper warnings. Shadows moved above them. Too fast. Too silent. Even the wind felt like it was being watched. The crew of the Valkyrie followed Sila and the snake deeper into the wild. No maps. No signals. No roads. Only instinct. Only the old memories stored in the creature she had bonded with. Somewhere ahead was the core. The lab where it all began. The place Sila was made. The place her enemies still feared. "How much farther?" Darius asked, his voice low. "We're close," Sila replied. "The air is changing. It always smelled like this. Before pain." No one asked what that meant. They didn't need to. As they reached a canyon covered in thick roots, the snake hissed and stopped. Beneath them was a sealed door, almost invisible, buried in rock and dust. It pulsed faintly with blue light. "There," Sila said. "Underground. That's the core." "Are we walking into a trap?" Lena asked. "Yes," Sila said honestly. "But we have no choice." They climbed down, into the dark. Inside the core there was no jungle, no trees, only steel walls, silver floors, black lights, machines that looked dead, but hummed quietly. As they walked, holograms lit up, images flickered on the walls. Sila as a child, in a glass tank, screaming, resisting, changing. "This place is evil," Juno muttered. "No," Sila said. "This place is truth. Everything they made here, they feared would one day fight back. Now we're here, together." But they were not alone. In the silence, they heard clicking sounds, claws on metal, fast. Then, a red laser beam zipped past Eli's head, burning the wall behind him. "Ambush," Darius shouted. Out of the shadows came black figures, thin, fast, deadly. The echo units, part drone, part living thing. They moved like insects but struck like assassins. Battle broke out in the corridors. Lena opened fire. Juno threw a flash. Bomb. Darius led a charge. But the echo units were too many. Then, Sila raised her hand. The snake, now fully armored and alert, slammed through the hallway like a wrecking ball, crushing machines and drones alike. A long steel tail whipped out and shattered 2 enemy units. "Keep moving," Sila yelled. "They're just the front line." They reached the core chamber. Inside stood a large vertical pod, shaped like a coffin glowing red. Above it floated a figure wrapped in wires and smoke. The architect. His voice echoed before his face appeared. "You returned." Sila stepped forward, breathing hard. "I'm not your puppet anymore." "No," the architect said. "You're worse. You're broken. You let the humans poison your code." He turned toward the crew. "And you are standing in the way of evolution." "Wrong," Darius said, raising his rifle. "We're standing with her." The architect laughed. Then, he opened the pod. Dozens of new echo units dropped from the ceiling, bigger, stronger, faster. Some flew. Some crawled on walls. All were designed to kill. "Defensive wall," Darius shouted. The crew formed a circle, but Sila stepped into the center. Her armor glowed brighter than ever. The shard inside her pulsed wildly, uncontrolled, raw. "Sila, you're not strong enough. Eli warned. You said the shard could burn you from inside. I know, she said. But I'm not doing it alone. She turned to the crew. Touch me. What? Juno asked. Just do it. They each placed one hand on her armor. Energy passed through them, not painful, powerful. The snake wrapped around them in a spiral, forming a barrier. And then, Silas screamed, not in fear, in release. Light burst from her chest. The shard activated fully. For the first time, it shared its power, not just to Sila, to the humans. Lena's rifle turned into a glowing arc cannon. Juno's glove became a hacking tool that melted enemy tech. Eli saw words in the air, enemy codes, weaknesses, backdoors. Darius felt stronger, faster, more aware. Sila had linked them all, human and alien, fighting as one. The battle began. Echo units charged in, but were blasted apart. Lena covered the left flank, using her new weapon to fire energy bursts. Juno hacked a drone midair and turned it against its own side. Eli shouted commands, directing the snake like a tank with wings. Darius cut down an elite unit with plasma blades that formed from his suit. And Sila flew, hovering above the ground, her armor shifting, adapting. She moved like light. Every step was a strike. Every hand wave, a shock wave. She wasn't the last of her kind anymore. She was more. But then the architect descended, fully armored, taller than before. His hands glowed with black fire. You think you're strong now? He shouted. You borrowed power. I made that power. He struck Sila with a wave of dark code. Her body shook. The shard flickered. Sila, Darius yelled. But Sila's eyes snapped open. You built it with fear, she said. I live it with choice. She threw her arms out. The shard exploded with white light. The architect staggered back. His body cracked. His armor broke. The code failed. And then, he vanished in a flash of red, defeated for now. 4. The core chamber was silent. Bodies of drones lay broken. Sparks flew from the ceiling. The snake lay still, guarding the door. Sila fell to her knees. The crew rushed to her. We did it, Lena said, almost in disbelief. No, Sila whispered. We just survived. She looked up at the stars showing through a cracked ceiling. They'll send more. Bigger. Worse. Darius put a hand on her shoulder. Then we prepare. Sila looked at him. For the first time, she smiled, real and warm. Together? Always, he said. She became their nightmare. The sky above the jungle turned black, not from night, but from the arrival of something massive. A ship. No, a fortress. Miles wide, shaped like a ring of knives blocking the sun. They're here, Sila said, standing on a ridge, her hair blowing in the hot wind. This is the final move, the last command. How many? Captain Darius asked, looking through his scope. More than ever before, she replied. They've sent the death protocol. It's not just to kill me, it's to erase this planet. Behind them, the jungle burned in patches from earlier attacks. Smoke rose in pillars. The remaining echo units had fallen silent. Not because they were destroyed, but because they were waiting for the arrival of their god. Inside the fortress ship he returned, the architect, rebuilt, reforged, his armor now dark like space, glowing with red code. His voice no longer sounded like a machine. It was deeper, colder, human and inhuman at once. Prepare the orbital fire, he said to his machines. Target the core, target the girl. Down on the planet, the humans stood ready. Sila no longer looked like a frightened survivor. She wore the full armor now, an evolved fusion of alien tech and serpent beast. Her arms carried built-in weapons. Her eyes burned with blue fire. Her snake companion had grown larger, tougher, armored like a battleship. But more than the weapons was her presence. Commanding. Unchained. We won't survive this, Juno whispered. Not if we stay on defense, Sila said. We hit first. You want to attack that? Lena pointed at the ship above. No, Sila replied. I want to get inside. How? Scylla turned to the snake. I've reprogrammed it. Its spine was built with their launch tech. We can ride it through the atmosphere. The crew blinked. You want us to fly into a space fortress on a snake? Eli asked. Yes, Scylla said. And then we make them regret everything. They launched at dawn. The snake stretched its wings. Yes, wings thin and glowing, built for low-orbit jumping. The crew held tight as it coiled, then launched upward like a rocket, through clouds, past the sky, into space. They smashed into the fortress through its weakest shield point. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. The machines inside swarmed like ants. But Scylla landed first, and she was ready. Her blades struck fast. Her shield pulsed. Her mind connected to every inch of the ship's code. She moved like lightning, and behind her, humans who no longer feared monsters. Cut the engines, Scylla yelled. On it. Juno tapped into a control panel, hacking the main power line. Sparks flew. The ship tilted. Get me to the command chamber, Scylla said. He'll be there. The crew fought their way forward. Machines dropped from ceilings. Drones fired from hidden walls. Traps opened beneath their feet. But the humans were faster now, stronger, enhanced by the shard, trained by pain. They weren't soldiers. They were witnesses. And now, they were justice. At last, the door opened, the command chamber. Inside, the architect stood at the center, waiting. You never learned, he said as Scylla stepped in. You were made to obey. No, she said. I was made to remember. They clashed. Code versus mind. Weapon versus will. The architect moved fast, firing red blades of data. Scylla blocked, countered, hit back with pure light. The fight shook the room, walls cracked, machines failed. But still he stood, and Scylla was weakening. Then he struck her chest. The shard flickered. She fell to one knee. You were never complete, he whispered. You were a glitch. An error. Scylla looked up, eyes filled with fire. Then I'm the error. That ends you. She overloaded the shard. A pulse of white energy exploded from her chest. Not just power. Memory. Every life they destroyed. Every child they tested. Every scream. She sent it back into his code. He staggered. He screamed. And then, he shattered into ash. The ship began to collapse. It's going down, Lena shouted. Get out! Darius yelled. The crew ran. But Scylla stayed. She turned to the central control. There was one last thing to do. She touched the core, her mind linked to the entire system. Erase all weapon protocols, she said. Release every chained signal. End the project. A voice inside replied. Are you sure? Yes, she said. I am not a tool. I am not a product. I am not yours. I am the nightmare you created. And now, I end the dream. The fortress exploded in orbit. Fire rained over the jungle. The echo units below fell dead like dolls with cut strings. The planet was quiet again. Days later, the crew stood in silence where the snake had first attacked. She's really gone, Eli asked. No body, Juno said. Just light, Lena added. Maybe that's all she ever was, Darius said. Light trapped in a cage. Then, a noise behind them. They turned. A soft glow flickered between the trees. Not loud. Not fast, just watching. And then it vanished. Darius smiled faintly. She's still out there. And maybe that was true. Because legends don't die. They wait.